Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel once again. So on today's video we'll be learning how to sew a 3-part corset bustier. Now as you can see, mine came out very beautiful and tight, but the corset cup lines were not visible enough. This is because of the material I used. So if this is something you'd like to learn, please stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you. So I already cut out the piece we need, leaving 0.5-inch seam allowance on all sides. Now the video of this pattern is down in the description box. Please make sure you watch it in the description box on how to draft this pattern. So after doing that, when I cut the pattern, I make sure I cut 2 pieces of all 2 pieces. Now after cutting out 2 pieces of all the patterns, I also do the same thing with the lining. With the lining, you cut out 2 pieces also, just like we did with the pattern. Now after doing that, we're going to start with the cup part, of the corset. Now the cup part of the corset, we are going to cut a pad. You're going to fold your pad into 2 and cut out 2 pieces also, just like we did with the material, we did with the lining. You're also going to do the same thing with the pad. Now you can see I already cut out 2 pieces for all the corset cup. Now when you're done with that, make sure you write an arrow on the pad to indicate which piece will be going to the center piece and which piece will be going to the third piece, so you don't get confused. Now when we are through with that, we're going to take out 1 piece from each of the material. You're taking out 1 piece of the material and 1 piece of the pad. Make sure you're taking out the right pad. Whatever part you're taking out, make sure you do the same thing for the side piece and for the center piece. We're going to take out 1 piece each. The first piece, then we'll leave the second one. Now after doing that, we're going to join the side piece and the center piece together first. When we join them together, then we are going to stitch them to the third piece. You join the side piece and the center piece together first, then you join them to the top piece. So as you can see, I'm through doing that for both cup. After doing this, make sure you iron in between the seam. You open your seam and iron it. Iron in between the seam. Now when you're done with this, you do the same thing for the lining. Just the way we took out 1 side piece, 1 center piece, join them together and also join them to the third piece. You do the same thing for the lining to get the lining for the cup. So as you can see, I've done that for the lining. So next, what we're going to do, we are going to use the lining to turn the material. We're only going to turn the top part. After turning the top part, then you stitch round. You're only going to turn the top part of the third piece, and after doing that, you stitch round. So you can see I only turn the top, then I stitch round to the other side. You can see I've done that for both cup. So after doing that, we're going to join the front body piece together. First you join the front, then you join the back, then you add them all together and shape them by the side. You join the front piece together, the back piece separately, then you shape them by the side. So as you can see, I'm through with that. When you're through with that, also iron in between your seam allowance. Okay, make sure you iron in between your seam allowance. Now after doing this, I would advise you to do the same thing for the lining first. Make sure you, after joining the body piece together, do the same thing for the lining. This was because I stitched the cup to the body part first before turning over with my lining, and it was a bit difficult for me. I use this method because I don't like seeing rough edges when I'm sewing. So I will advise you, after joining the body piece, also join the lining of the body piece, then you turn it with the body piece before stitching the cup. Now you can see I stitched the cup already to this before using the lining to turn the material. It was a bit difficult for me. So I will advise you to stitch the lining to the body piece first. Turn the lining with the body piece before you join your cup to it. It will be more easier that way. So I already turned over the material with the lining. This because I don't like seeing rough edges. You can see the rough edge for the cup is not showing. So but like I said before, make sure you use your lining to turn the material first before you join the cup, before you stitch the cup to the material, to be more easier for you. But I use that method because I don't like seeing rough edges. So if you think this method is okay for you, you can also do the same thing. Now when we are done with that, the part left will be the base of the material, that is down. That will be the part remaining, that will be the part that will be open. So what we are going to do, we are going to pipe it up. You're going to use a bias, or you can use the material itself, whichever one you want, to pipe up the base. That means to cover the rough edges. So you can do it by piping from the lining, folding it forward to the material, or you can pipe, or you can stitch from the material itself, then you fold it down into the lining. Whichever one is okay for you, you just do it. So as you can see, I'm through with that. I sew the bias first to the lining before I turn it over to the material. That's why you can see the bias showing, is showing because of the method I use. So you can use the other one by sewing to the material, then you just fold it inside to the lining. So after doing that, the next thing we will go to is the zip. We're going to add the zip. Now I'm not adding loop, I'm using zip instead. So I'm going to add my zip to the material. I already left a few zip allowance for the back. I explained that in my pattern when I drafted out my pattern, so you can watch it in the description box to understand. So as you can see, I'm done adding the zip. Next thing we're going to add is the little stripe hand I want to add. So for us to add the stripe hand, we're going to measure 5 inch from the middle, from the center of your corset. You measure 5 inch, you mark it, then you pin one part of the stripe hand. Now the length of the stripe I'm using is 12, but I cut out 13 because I'm going to have to sew in ½ inch on all sides. So you cut out 13, that is ½ inch, 1 inch out for the sewing allowance, then 12 as the length. So you measure, make sure you measure 5 inch from the middle. You do the same thing on both sides of the corset. Measure 5 inch from the middle, then you pin your stripe to where you mark. Then you also do the same thing for the back. You also measure 5 inch from the zip side, because the zip is the middle. So you measure 5 inch from the zip on the back on both sides. Then you pin the other side of the stripe, the other side of the little hand I made. You pin it to the material. Now when we are done with this, I'll take them to the sewing machine and stitch them down. As you can see, this is the end result. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, share, like and subscribe. Please don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.